Hello, everybody. Let me move this back down to low. There we are. We are all good. We are back on the couch. And the couch is where we answer the questions. So what we're going to do here, everybody, is if you have any questions, go ahead and shout them out in chat. It'll be easier for me if you go down to the little acorn down below, tap it and say highlight my message. It'll make it easier for me to see it. But otherwise, I will simply put up the questions as we get them. We are going to be answering questions from you folks and from the party about each other. So while we wait for chat questions to scroll in, does anyone in the party have questions?
A question.
Absolutely.
This one's for Tim. Do you already have a mental list of upgrades you're going to make to Sparks?
Yes. Oh yeah, like immediately, or not like immediately, but I have a list of as soon as I can. I will. She is definitely very strongly considering the whole thumbs thing. She doesn't know how it slipped her mind when she was first designing him. But, and I think at some point, Jay, you and I talked about this at some point, potentially because Tim is teeny tiny, she might be able to use him as a mount in combat, or at least.
Yeah, that's at least just a
around.
given. I think you can absolutely use him as a mount. Yeah.
So just a whole world of possibilities here.
Ride that dog.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone else have anything else?
Yeah, so I am working on a project of sorts, and I was wondering, what is everybody in the group's favorite local legend or a little tidbit of folklore?
I guess we'll start with let's start with Star.
I mean,
Oh gosh, I'm
oh
not prepared.
No, hold on. Zoe was about to say something, so you know what?
I have an
Let's
immediate
save Star.
answer.
Go for it.
As your token West Virginia girl, Mothman, fucking Mothman, 100% Mothman.
Good answer.
So I actually have that's what it's called. So if we're talking about like if we're including cryptids in this, I have a very fun story. It's not a story. It's just a Wikipedia article I read once that I'm going to be telling for all of you.
Nice.
But okay, so I guess it's partially a story. So a couple of years ago, I made like a just small merch line where I made anime girls out of like various cryptids. Like I had a Mothman one, I had a Loch Ness Monster one. I have 5. And so in the process of researching, I was just looking up like all kinds of like cryptids and like spooky things from around the world. There is an entire subset of like cryptids and folk creatures specifically thought up and stories spread via lumberjack.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
They are called fearsome critters. And my favorite is called the squonk. It is a creature that is apparently so ugly that if it sees its reflection in, say, a puddle, it cries so hard that it turns into a puddle of water. See, how Zoe's reacting is exactly what I did at my work desk when I was researching this instead of working.
I love that so much.
So good. Here, I'll find the Wikipedia article.
Absolutely. Post that in chat.
Oh, well, here. The squonk is a mythical creature that is reputed to live in the hemlock forests of northern Pennsylvania in the United States. Where's the rest of this? Nice. Origins, appearance, and behavior. The squonk is of a very retiring disposition, generally traveling about at twilight at dusk. Because of its misfitting skin, which is covered in warts and moles, it is always unhappy. Aww. Hunters who are good at tracking are able to follow a squonk by its tear-stained trail, for the animal weeps constantly. When cornered, an escape seems impossible, or when surprised and frightened, it may even dissolve itself into tears.
Wow. Why are people hunting it? It doesn't do wrong.
That's the most emo thing I've ever heard.
Addendum, how do you hunt, how do you track tears in dirt? Like how do you like that's tears right there.
It's a better link. It doesn't have a whole bunch of shit on it.
Nice. I'm thinking Mildred has to have some gems.
I have two. Firstly, Fresno Nightcrawlers. If you're not familiar with the Fresno Nightcrawler, they're the chillest cryptid. They look like just a pair of pants that walks through
Baboons.
at night. If I highly recommend anyone interested, look up some videos of Fresno Nightcrawlers. I promise they're not going to scare you.
They're so cute. Oh my
They're
god.
adorable, and they just seem like a tight hang.
They're just little
yes.
pants.
And in the opposite spirit, I will go with the Cabbage Town Tunnel Monster, which is a local Toronto legend. This guy, I don't know why he was in the tunnel. I don't know the exact story, but he sees this little golem-like guy with red eyes who just tells him like, "Hey man, get out of here. You can't be here."
Nice.
And
Nice.
he
So wait, it
maintains.
speaks English?
Yeah, it speaks English.
Nice.
And the guy is like scared shitless, and he apparently like he never goes to the press or anything, but like friends of his maintain that he is just this really believable, solid guy. He has no interest in getting attention for this, but he maintains it to his dying day.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
other people have spotted the so-called tunnel creatures. So
Nice.
Wow.
That's
So
amazing.
where is this in Toronto that I need to
Cabbage
avoid?
Town.
Cabbage Town. Not my
Jesus Christ.
cabbages, right?
My cabbages.
Before
Stuff
we
in the
actually,
tunnels, I think, is the
yeah.
takeaway.
So we actually have a question from chat, but before we do that, Jinx, do you have any?
Nope.
None.
Nope.
No cryptids, huh?
Well, okay. I have a
That
story
you
that's,
like. Yeah.
that's not that's kind of related to cryptids, but not related to the story at all
Right.
of cryptids. Because like I'm currently working on a cross stitch that is like a supernatural one. But the reason why I'm doing this is because last year the same person who made this pattern did a cryptids one that that is kind of like the sister cross stitch, and they had actually, let me see, I have it open. I have a picture of it somewhere here.
If anyone wants to see the cross stitch right now, you can go to twitch.tv/wildjinx in chat. You can just go ahead and take a peek. She has her cross stitch up on the side.
So they did Mothman, Nightcrawler, the Fresno Nightcrawler. So it is
Sick.
the little like pants. Bigfoot,
Pants.
the Death Worm, the Kraken, Jersey Devil, and
Yeah.
Enfield Horror, and a bunch of other ones. But like I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I looked up some of them, and then it scared me, and I wasn't able to sleep for like 2 days.
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
fair.
nope. But now I'm working on a nice supernatural
Yeah.
one and not the scary cryptid one. So
Nice.
yes,
Nice.
Well, if it makes you feel
Uh,
better, very few of them are real.
I hope
This is
so.
true, right.
'Cause I don't want to be on this planet with all these creatures.
When I was-
Squonk,
Well, when I was a
Squonk.
child,
Maybe a
I
squonk.
genuinely believed that jackalopes were a thing.
Mhm. That's unfortunate.
Like
They're
I
so
mean, they
cute.
kind of are, right?
they are very
Yeah.
cute. No,
Like, isn't
because
it,
so
uh,
they
Cross
were
stitch.
in jackalopes were in that Scooby Doo movie about the aliens. And I
I
thought they were
remember them.
real.
Yeah.
Like, why would Scooby Doo lie about that? Like, obviously, the aliens are the fake thing. The
Right.
jackalopes must be real.
But like,
And so, yeah, I love jackalopes so much.
aren't jackalopes like? Isn't there a basis for them in that there are rabbits with like a condition that
Like
makes
a
them?
mutation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I've-
know.
I've
I know
heard
that
of
I know there are
that.
like martins that have like little horns, but they're not like antlers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
That's
I thought it was like a little
I
rabbit.
think
that has,
like the origins
antlers.
of jackalopes as like lore thing came from just like a
Some
rabbit
kind
with
of-
like a malignant growth on its head or something.
Sure. Yeah.
And someone saw it and was like, antlers!
Ah, it must be growing antlers. I could make money off
Mhm.
this. Yeah.
Although
I
I will.
tend- Hmm?
Sorry. You
Oh no,
first.
go ahead. No, go for
Oh,
it.
I was just gonna say, I did have a friend who was in her mid-20s who I did have to break the unfortunate news to her that jackalopes are not real.
Oh, that's
Oh, no.
unfortunate.
Because a jackalope is one of the characters I did for my little cryptid series, and she's like, "Aren't jackalopes real though?" And I'm like,
Oh, honey, no.
well, no, they are not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But what if they were?
So I don't tend to talk much about the cryptids that I like because I like to use them as fodder for my campaigns and stuff. But Only because Star had one recently in one of her campaigns and she'd be able to clock them immediately. A false
Lord.
Hydra. I would
Yeah.
I wouldn't use a false Hydra in this particular campaign. For those of you who don't know, you can look up, I think Dungeon Dad has a great episode on false Hydra, and they are fantastic plot points for any D&D setting.
They're basically the weeping angels from Doctor
Sort
Who.
of.
Oh,
Where, like,
no.
as soon as you're not looking at them, you forget they exist. But it's a Hydra, and it lives underground, and it's like this. It's like the silence mixed with the one boss from Zelda Ocarina of Time that's in the sewers, and you gotta fight
it's
it. And
very
it's gross.
it's such a good creepy. I love me a fantastic slimy creepy bad guy, because it just makes me feel good. So I guess in lieu of that, I will say that my favorite cryptid right now is Canadians. So let's move on to the question here. Sam, our lovely mod in chat, pronouns in my bio, asks, it's a two-part question, but they're very intrinsically linked, so let's see if we can get that up there. Is it going to get up there? No, of course it's not. So Sam asks, two-part question. Have the players out of game changed their character's personality or goals for better group cohesion? And an addendum onto that, have the characters as themselves in game changed anything about how they act to cohese better with the group? And we'll start with Ron this time because he's right above my head.
Sounds good. So I don't know if Vernon has really changed anything about himself. I think it's more that I have trouble being a jerk the way I want Vernon to be a jerk, because I want him to just be out for himself and doing, like, you know, cowardly stuff. I think that's why this time I had him hide behind the tree and just take pot shots, because he's not putting himself in any real danger. He's, like, you know, trying to contribute to the group because it, you know, benefits him for everybody to be alive. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try to, like, make him more of a jerk, and I feel like I say that every month, but, you know, I'm trying to, like, really amp up the jerkitude, you know, as he kind of develops more into you know, his final form, as it were. But form. I think it's just me being, like, too afraid to be a jerk to the rest of the group, that, you know, so I don't make him into a jerk.
Yeah. Then we'll go to Jinx.
Well, there's nothing really that I did, like, behind the scenes, but I think that, like, Mal was on their own for a really long time, and now they're in a group with a bunch of other people. So now they're not just thinking about themselves. They, like, during the fight, I went directly under the Manticore, because it was taking shots at Tim. So I would rather take the damage myself, because I could probably take more hits than Tim could. So I didn't like, I wanted to be the, well, kind of the tank at that point. But, like, I didn't want anything to happen to Tim. So I ran out there to try to get its attention. So that's what Mal is doing.
As far as Emery, I think, like, she's snarky now, but we haven't really seen much of her get, like, legitimately angry, which was more like kind of the original conception for her. And I think it's kind of a similar in that, like, I don't like being a jerk. I'm always I never choose the evil options in video games because it makes me sad. But that doesn't mesh super well when you're trying to portray an asshole. But, like, Emery's whole thing is she's not necessarily an asshole on purpose. She has just been through a lot of shit and just has trouble trusting people and has goals that involve murder.
Right.
But, like, she's not going to be angry at people who are not, like, the cause of her misfortune necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also not going to be, like, super nice to them either, because that doesn't really benefit her at this juncture.
Right. All right, Mildred.
Rathgrither has not and will never change. So to me, the whole fun of playing Dungeons and Dragons is kind of having those character interactions. So I don't play her as, like, to be obstinate or to make things difficult for people, but as someone for everyone to bounce off of, you know?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely working, at least in Emery's case. Man, it's so funny. I love those interactions a whole bunch.
Well, I like that. Like Rathgurther's relationship with Emery seems to be this. In Rathgurther's case, it is a friendly rivalry, whereas I believe in Emery's case, it is more of a genuine dislike.
It's less of a genuine dislike and more it's just like, I don't know how to deal with you. And usually when someone is annoying, I can just get away from them. But you're still here. And so I'm like, I've never had to deal with a person like this. You're weird. I'm going to try and like bounce off of that, but she like genuinely doesn't know what to do with Rathgurther half the time.
Yeah, like if someone is that like they don't want to let people in or get close to people, you have another person that's like really loud and boisterous and always trying to be the center of attention, like naturally there's going to be friction there. And I find that to be like some of the most fun stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Stuff. All right, Zoe.
Oh gosh. Well, so part 1, have I, the player, changed my personality or goals for better group cohesion? I actually hate everyone here, and so I've had to really work on like faking that and being friendly. I'm kidding.
You're a notably mean person.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Zoe's a very mean person.
Notoriously.
In real life.
Yes.
She's not here to make friends. She's here to win.
The heel of the team.
She's on the left because nobody in the right wants to win. I'm so sorry. No, it's not true. It's not true at all. I can't even do it in jest. Okay, go for it.
So I don't know. I mean, this is a tough question because I haven't really done anything like consciously, but I'm sure subconsciously there have been, I don't know, like sometimes there are things that I think Tim might do or say that wouldn't necessarily be great. And this is, I'm going to go on a little bit of a soapbox here. This is when people say that they don't like metagaming and that metagaming is bad and evil and the worst thing you can do in a TTRPG. I think that that is wrong and silly because metagaming really is just like doing anything that your character wouldn't necessarily do because it's best for the players and for the people at your table. Which is a good thing, I think. And so there are some things that I think Tim might do that are either a little bit irritating or like in my home game that I play in, my character isn't super great on like violence and breaking the law because she kind of came from this like noble background and she's very like, I'm going to obey the rules and that's how I'll get ahead. And so when our party like does jobs for this underground organization, like she can either be an ass about it, which is probably more realistic, or she can find a way to make it fit within her worldview, which maybe she wouldn't actually do in real life, but it works better for the actual party because I know that the other players want to do that thing and have fun doing that thing. So I make the character sacrifices to allow everyone else to have fun. Because I think that's what leads to the best party cohesion.
Yeah. Actually, Sam has a good rejoinder to what you just said there, and that is that you could almost say that parts of metagaming are safety tools, which is true.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We're playing a game here, and so especially streaming it, like acknowledging that we know this is a game and that we're trying to figure out how our characters might justify doing something rather than saying my character wouldn't do this is definitely a big part of like collaborative storytelling, right? The thing you don't do when you're improvising is say I wouldn't do this, unless of course it's very egregious, in which case of course absolutely. But if it's a reasonable thing that your character might do under different circumstances, maybe it's something that you figure out why your character is doing it as opposed to saying nah, my character wouldn't do that. Like, it's a very give and take thing to collaboratively storytell. He says like he's some sort of expert.
Like he knows stuff about things. Gosh.
It's very sad. So while we're waiting for, again, folks, anytime you want to shout out questions, you can go ahead. That's what this is open forum for. Anything either way. By the way, I know some of you who have joined us today have seen our stuff on YouTube and are just like coming to us for the first time, and you're maybe wanting to have some questions about the first couple of episodes, it doesn't have to be specifically about this episode either. You can do anything you'd like. But while that happens, does anyone else have a question on the couch here?
I have
They
just a
might wanna
silly
answer.
one just to fill time.
Yeah.
What is your favorite D&D monster?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Go ahead and just kind of shout this one out, folks. I don't need to moderate this one.
Flumps.
Flumps, yeah, yeah, I knew that was coming. Yep.
Yeah, actually.
They're not monsters though, Zoe. But
Oh my
Zoe,
God.
they're not monsters.
Friend shaped.
They are friend shaped. They're so
Right.
friend shaped.
I was trying to set up a campaign a little while ago, like just get like the bones and stuff of it. And I was looking through the monster manual, and I can't think of what it was called right now, but there's like this, I feel like there's this one that can like shapeshift into like members of the group or something. Unless I was reading something else.
Oh yeah, that's
entirely.
definitely a thing. There's like
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're called, but I've seen it. They're like they're like weird jelly guys, and they can
Yeah.
because like there's doppelgangers, but that's different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I can't think of what it's called right now, but yeah, I'm gonna have to look it back up. But
My
I thought those
monster
were really
manual
cool.
Arms reaches me.
Mine's like
Yes.
right behind me, but it's in the collector's like edition like box thingy, and it's a pain in the butt to dig it out.
Nah, mine's just on the shelf because I was doing some D&D prep
Yeah.
for a session that we're not going to end up playing this week because
Oh.
less scheduling conflict. The
Sucks.
worst
Oh.
D&D monster is scheduling conflicts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
That's
seen
for
some
true
love for
silver.
beholders in chat. That's a good thing. Beholders do need a little
Yeah.
bit more love. They're very kooky creatures, especially like the very first run of their art looks amazing. I'll never get that out of my head.
They have such
Tiny little-
tiny little,
Tiny
yeah.
little eye stalks and like this big human lips. No, don't like the look of that. Honestly, for me, it's any monster that I think monsters that specifically prey on the memory of things is particularly scary.
Ooh,
In my particular instance, which is why I like the false hydra and stuff like that like modify memory and stuff like that. And so in that case, like not vampires in general, but like say for instance when you're playing Curse of Strahd, if you're playing Strahd to like his umpteenth, having him like meet a party member by charming them into the woods and then modifying their memory after getting all the information out of them, and then like the party just never knows how he's really tracking them the whole time. Like that's scary to me. Obviously the false hydra, I named that before. But honestly, one of my real big ones, and this is because I'm just a fan of body horror in general, is the flesh golem, because you can make them out of anything. In one of my first games that I ever played through, my party was tracking down this guy who owned like an orphanage, and he was a necromancer, so he was using it for ill ends, and he had a flesh golem in his basement that I called the orphan golem because
Oh my
he
God.
used
Gosh.
yeah.
That's a good one.
That party really enjoyed that sort of body horror, so that's what I was using. Obviously, that
Gross.
wouldn't cut the mustard with many groups, but obviously, if we're playing with that sort of like existential sort of, well, not even existential, just like pure, like what's the most horrific thing you can think of? Somebody using bits of orphans to make a golem is really bad, and so like they very much satisfactorily killed that guy, and it was great. It was a great plot point.
I had
don't
a
know.
lot of fun with an Umber Hulk once.
Umber Hulk, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we had they like so the party went into like they were trying to hide from like a forest fire, and so they went up into like this, what they found out later was an abandoned dragon's lair in like the side of a mountain, and they were just like fucking around in there, and it was like dinner. And like the Umber Hulk has like an ability where like if you make eye contact you have to roll a saving throw, and if you fail the saving throw it confuses you, like in Pokemon basically.
Yeah.
And it just makes you want to attack your friends instead. And
That's
that was a fun time. We actually had one. So the idea is you have to attack. I have the page open here actually. On a 7 or 8, the creature makes one melee attack against a random creature, or does nothing if there is nothing within arm's reach. But I had one player who didn't let me finish reading that, and who wasn't within range of any other creatures to attack. And she was just like, "Okay, I stabbed myself in the gut," and I'm like, "What? Oh, okay, so you do, I guess, but you didn't have to," and it knocked her unconscious.
Oh, no.
That's very confusing.
No.
Am I my enemy?
I am the enemy. Ugh.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. Am I made of cake? Just I have to be sure.
That was one of the more fun fights that we had.
It's probably unfair to ask Jinx what your favorite monster is because you've basically only seen like what I've thrown at
Manticore.
you. Manticore. There you go. It's got a man's face and the rest of it's a core. It's part man, part core. It's
Wow.
parkour.
Literally
Parkour.
the only
Parkour?
creature we've come up against in here, isn't it?
So I think so. It's I think it
It's
is
Just
literally the
fighting
first.
people.
Yeah, we punched a
Yeah.
ghost.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Emery punched a ghost, didn't she?
I did.
She shook a ghost.
Should,
I
yeah,
wiggled the
punched a
ghost aggressively.
Right.
Took it for information.
Right.
Oh, there's the manticore. Ew. I forgot about
Yeah.
the man face part of it.
Yeah, it's got a man face. That's why it's creepy.
Got him.
maybe
Got a
maybe I'll
man
take back
face.
my statement.
Got a creepy man.
I don't
So-
actually know what it looks like in the D&D lore.
As far as I know, Mildred, your horror interests are kind of aligned with mine more or less. What is your favorite monster in D&D?
Honestly, mimics.
Mimics? Yeah.
It's
Classic.
it's such a cool idea. Like when you when you let your guard down, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
having
the
them be
ooze-
anything too. Like house hunters are some of the coolest mimics I've ever seen, and they're just like an old school mimic where you just like the house you're in, you suddenly realize you're in a mimic, and you go, "Oh, the whole thing's a
HGTV
mimic, huh?"
House Hunters.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't like that.
I couldn't find the ooze thing in the monster manual. I think it may be in one of the supplemental books, which I do.
Mm.
It's one of the ones that I have because I've definitely seen it, but I have like 3 of them, and I want to go digging through all of them.
It's not a
It'll come
changeling
to
what
me
you were thinking of,
eventually.
obviously, because you got a changeling in your party, right? No, you weren't thinking of a changeling?
Oh, I don't think so. No.
There's like specific monsters that have that as an ability.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's oozes and puddings and stuff. Yeah, okay. Well, it doesn't so nothing else from chat, eh, folks? You guys are tapped out. We basically only had a fight today, except for a bit of lore drop. So like it's true. Fights take a while in D&D. They're an interesting bit of tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Big ones, more complicated ones can certainly take a long time. For those of you wondering how I ran that Manticore, incidentally, I always mess with the monster stats a little bit myself because I'm used to my players going and checking out the monster stuff, and I like to surprise them a little bit because I don't mind that they do, obviously, but I like to surprise them a little. So this Manticore had a little bit more health than normal because obviously I have 5 players and not 4, and they were all level 3, which is the right level for a fight a Manticore. I gave it its like death spasm because that's kind of in Manticore lore already, where they're kind of that sort of feral creature that just kind of goes wild while it dies.
Mantalore.
Mantalore, exactly. Yep.
The Mandalorian. It's a new show on Disney Plus.
That's right. And any creature that I ever put on my table that has multi-attack, I will choose whether to use all of its attacks on its turn or fracture its stuff up like legendary actions. Because creatures that get outnumbered easily by players often don't have the action economy to fight interestingly. And so I do that with the monsters that I have solo that happen to have multi-attack.
I just give everything legendary actions. It's a monster. It's
yeah, that's right.
legendary. Fight
Absolutely.
it.
Especially if you have things alone.
Players.
Yeah. Legendary actions for everybody if you have 8 players, let me tell you.
The action economy is in shambles.
Well, Jay, if you didn't show up today, Star was going to be our DM, and she was just going to declare us the winners. So
Yeah, we won
That would
D&D.
work. Absolutely. Yes. Well, on the Halloween episode, what you'll do is Star will dress up as me. I'll dress up as one of you, and we'll figure that out. Maybe
I'll just swap costumes.
That's right. That's right.
I'll just put a sticky note on my forehead that says J. That just says J cosplay.
just my acorn icon. You just put it on your face. Yep. Perfect.
I can
Okay.
do that.
You could absolutely do that. It's super easy to turn my icon into like a PNG tuber thing. Well, okay. I guess unless anyone has any other questions, I think that'll be it for today, actually. No. Okay. Well, then while I close out here, let's see here. Where can we find people? Starting with Ron. Where can we find you?
All right. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Megaron TV as well as on Twitch, also at Megaron TV. I would promote my TikTok, but I haven't made anything in there for like 2 months, so don't bother. Also on YouTube at the Megaron, which sometimes I'm over there as well.
Jinx.
I am on YouTube and Twitch at Wild Jinx. My Twitter is Wild Jinx Gaming, and my TikTok is at Wild Jinx.
There you go. Star.
So I am pretty much everywhere. Same username across all platforms. The Starfish Face. In particular, I'm gonna shout out my YouTube. Because I have a new video coming out on Monday about the worst job I ever had, where I got locked in a freezer 3 separate times.
Hey.
Wow.
What?
But also, my webcomic came back from hiatus today.
Yes.
So
Yay.
chapter 11 has begun. So castoff-comic.com is where you can read that. There's like 600 plus pages for you to read and enjoy. If you enjoy D&D and fantasy and the like, you will probably like it.
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
That was very comprehensive. Mildred.
You can find me at youtube.com/thoughtslime for my videos about whatever the fuck I make videos about. Even I don't know. Lately, I have been working on a project called Weekends, where I am making a comic book, and I am encouraging people in the chat to pursue things that they feel that they are not good enough to do. Yeah, it's Weekends with an A. You can catch that every Saturday and Sunday on youtube.com/thoughtslime or twitch.tv/thoughtslime, whichever you prefer. Even though I'm a Twitch affiliate.
Hell yeah. We're gonna break the rules. We're gonna do some multi-streaming.
Breaking the rules.
I'm breaking the
Breaking the law.
I'm sorry.
Like
I
a
strictly
phases.
cannot be involved in any rule breaking here.
Oh no, that's a
Lawful
shame.
good.
That's a
Don't be a
shame.
narc.
Well, it's okay. It's easy if we just don't tell you. Zoe, speaking of, let's.
Ignorance is bliss here.
Mhm.
So you can find me on YouTube if you just search Zoe B, like BEE,
Mhm.
like the bug. You can also find me on Twitter at Zoe_the_B. I think that's it. I think those are the only places.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jaycorn. You found me. Congrats. This is my channel on Twitch. I also have a channel on YouTube where I put all the VODs. Links are in the description and they will be in chat in a moment. I recently opened up a second YouTube page specifically for my gaming stuff, which is few and far between these days because I am very much on this TTRPG fix. And so you'll find most of my stuff on the regular Jaycorn TV channel. YouTube is where you can find that. In addition, like I said before, at the very beginning of my screen, you can find all of our stuff on Anchor or Google Podcasts or Spotify. And those will have some extra bonus content if you subscribe on the Anchor. If you subscribe here on the Twitch or to our to the Ko-Fi, which is probably the best way to support us if you wanted to, you can link that account to the Discord, and in Discord you will find a room specifically for all of you supporters, where you will get also all of that bonus content, whether you subscribe to the subscription service for the podcast or not. Those are little bonus screeds that we do every once in a while, including some art that you all get access to. So that's about that. That'll be it for now. The next episode of What's Left of Us will be on, let's look to here. Oh, the 30th. Wow, the very last day of September is actually the last Friday. So there we go. September 30th. We will be having our next episode. It will likely be on, at the very least, YouTube. We will attempt to also stream it to Twitch at the same time. So don't worry if you, again, on the Discord or you're watching the Twitter or anything like that, you'll be able to see where we're doing things and having our announcements. And you will know ahead of time when we get there. I think that is it. I very much hope to see you all again. And if you want to see us anymore from now on, look to the Discord, my friends. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
That's what I thought. Good night.